Here's Todd Friel to misunderstand both evolution and morality.
Wait. My worldview says it's good to punch you in the nose right now, Eric. Would that be okay?
If God told you that it's good to punch someone in the nose, would that be okay?
If you want to try and punch me, go right ahead.
I didn't say that. I don't.
If you think that it is your worldview to punch people, then you better get ready to die.
There are some people who do. They're sadomasochistic. Are you willing to say they're wrong?
What would be the point of saying they're wrong? If a person wants to get into a fight to satisfy some masochistic urge, what do you think the effect of telling them that it is objectively wrong to do such a thing is going to be? Do you think they'll then stop? Do you think that if you explain that God doesn't like it, then they won't antagonize people anymore? If a person is really masochistic, why would you think telling them that they'll go to hell would work? How is your worldview going to be more helpful in such a situation than anyone else's?
No, I'm willing to say that they're strange to me.
Okay. Strange would be okay. I can live with strange. You can say strange. Say you don't prefer it.
Yeah.
But strange still has a little bit of an element of making some sort of a judgment.
Yeah, but not necessarily a qualitative judgment. Saying something is strange is a purely quantitative judgment if all you mean when you use that word is that there are more people who aren't like that than people who are like that.
You can just say, I don't prefer sadomasochism. I don't prefer wiping out people in Sudan because they're a different religion. You can say you don't prefer that, but you still can't say it's wrong. Only with an objective lawgiver can you make claims of morality, right and wrong.
Even then, you can't make claims of objective morality. To say that something is objective is to say that it exists independent of the existence of any subjects. Subjects are conscious entities who make judgments. If morality depends on the existence of a god, and a god is a conscious entity that makes judgments, then morality is dependent upon the existence of a subject and is therefore subjective. Moreover, there is no objective reason why one ought to adopt God's morality as one's own.
So bring your worldview and I'll bring mine.
Clearly, you weren't listening to what I was saying earlier about the evolution and the survival of the human species. So I'll gloss over that. And the idea of
why do you want to survive? Why is it good to survive?
Because it is our basic instinct to survive.
Where'd that come from?
It comes from our DNA and our desire to pass our genetic information.
Where does that desire come from? Why is having kids good? I know it's frustrating for you, but let's keep going. Why is that good?
Why is God good? If your answer is that God is good by definition, or that God is the grounding of all goodness, or some such thing, then the statement God is good is a meaningless tautology. To say that God is good is simply to say that God is godly. And why is anyone objectively obligated to be godly?
I'm going to change the subject just because...
If we just this group of people right here, let's just all of us just keep all the resources of the earth for ourselves. That would be better for us.
For us.
Right. Who cares about anybody else?
If by better for us you mean that it would increase our chances of surviving and prospering, I doubt that's actually true. Part of what makes an organism or population fit for survival is its ability to achieve harmony with its ecosystem. If the ecosystem is hostile to it, it is unlikely to survive. If one population tried to deny absolutely all resources to every other population would grow dangerously hostile to it. Part of the reason empathy evolved is because organisms can't survive if they attract the hostilities of all other organisms around which they live. But I don't think the fact that evolution produced my capacity for empathy for the purpose of my survival justifies it. I don't want to take resources from the rest of humanity because I have empathy for the rest of humanity. And I don't see why I need to justify that. I can't help but feel that, and I can't help but act on those feelings. So whether my empathy is justified or not is totally inconsequential with respect to my behavior.
We can't keep a viable population.
Who wants to keep a viable population? I care about me. I'm here for me.
Do you not see how living in a safe and prosperous population can also help you be safe and prosperous?
Then you're more selfish than us.
What's selfish?
Caring about yourself.
Why do you say selfish is bad? You can't. I say selfish is good, and I say selfish is evolutionary.
Because if you are...
I should eat my young, not nurture them.
How is eating your own young instead of nurturing them evolutionary? Some species do this when they have more young than easily accessible food, but eating all of your young doesn't help your genes stay in the gene pool for very long. We have a capacity to be horrified about doing something like that, precisely because evolution selected for that capacity.
Then you are not going to live as long as people who work together in a community to extend life and to...
Why do I want to do that? Who cares what happens when I die? Eat, drink, and be merry. For tomorrow we die. Who cares what happens? I'm done.
Who cares whether I obey a god? Why should I care whether I go to hell or not, especially if I'm a masochist? The existence of a god which dictates morality doesn't answer these questions.
Why do you care? What does it even mean to care? Where does caring come from?
I am transgender. I can afford my hormones to change my appearance from male to female. Many people can't. I am trying to form a nonprofit to help other people who can't afford their treatments.
Why do you care about them?
Because I have empathy with them. I
Why
know
do you have
their
empathy?
experiences. Because I'm interested in seeing them have a happy life like I am.
What's happy?
Happy is being able to live in my skin without wanting to set myself on fire.
Okay, but why is that good?
It's good because it helps other people.
No, it's good because there's a standard of good and wrong, okay? It's because there's a moral standard. There's certain things that we simply agree are better than other things.
Really? You and I, agree that funding hormones and surgery for trans people is an example of a thing that's better than other things? Are you really on board with that, Todd? If you are, I'm glad to hear that you're on board with trans rights. And if we really agree that there are things that are better than other things, then what practical difference does it make whether there's an objective standard?
But we can't have better, we can't have good, we can't have bad, we can't have evil. None of those terms apply if we evolved from goo.
You believe that God created Adam by blowing into some dust. How does that make good any more possible? Creationists love to say that evolutionists believe that we came from goo or from a rock, but creationists believe that we came from dust.
Only if there's a transcendent lawgiver can we have any sort of standard of right or wrong. Otherwise, it's your preference over mine. That's all life is from the evolutionary worldview. It is nothing but preferences.
How does the existence of a God change that? The only thing that God adds is his own preference, and his preference is no more objective than anyone else's, even if he is omniscient. To everyone who helps me out on Patreon, you're a big help. Thanks so much.